Guys, welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have why the West secretly terrified of India in 2025. Before we dive in and see the video, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and let's go ahead and dive in.
Why the West secretly fears India in 2025. For decades, the West viewed India through a limited lens, a vast, chaotic democracy struggling to lift its people out of poverty. A land of mysticism, monsoons, and masala, not of machines, missiles, and money. They underestimated it. They dismissed it. They ignored it. But in 2025, that story is being rewritten. Silently, without a declaration, India has begun rising not just economically, but strategically, militarily, culturally, and ideologically.
Dang.
The signs are everywhere. Indian CEOs now run some of the world's most powerful companies.
True.
Indian diplomacy no longer bows, it brokers. Indian satellites are circling Mars. Indian-made software runs your phones, your cars, even your hospitals. Yet, mainstream Western media barely mentions it.
Of course they...
Politicians avoid acknowledging it publicly.
Of course.
But in confidential reports, elite summits, and security briefings, there's a different tone, concern, caution, even fear. Why? Because India is no longer asking for permission. It's not asking to join the table, it's building its own.
Oh, India said things gonna be different around here, you feel me? While people were sleeping on India, underestimating India, disrespecting India, India was building, India was growing, India was innovating. And now that India is on the rise in a big way, could these Western countries be getting scared? A little nervous?
The dollar is trembling. Tech monopolies are losing ground. Global alliances are shifting. The rise of India has exposed the West's greatest vulnerability, the illusion of permanent dominance. Let's break it down. Here are 7 powerful reasons why the West is secretly afraid of India in 2025 and what this silent power shift means for the world. India's tech empire, the software that's eating the world. Gone are the days when India's tech identity was limited to call centers and cheap code. In 2025, India is a tech superpower. Bengaluru is now called the Silicon Valley of the East. But it's no longer just mimicking, it's leading. Indian startups are building original platforms in AI, quantum computing, clean energy, biotech, and blockchain.
That's insane.
These aren't just clones of Western apps, they're solving uniquely Indian problems at scale. Take ONDC, India's open network for digital commerce. A direct challenge to Amazon and Walmart, this government-backed platform decentralizes e-commerce, empowering small sellers and eliminating monopolies. Imagine that, a public digital infrastructure that's not controlled by a corporation, but by the people. Then there's Aadhaar, India's biometric identity system. It has over 1.4 billion users and enables seamless digital payments, healthcare, and education delivery. Western nations are still struggling to digitize government services. India has already done it.
India. Y'all not just catching up to the world. Y'all are, that's what he said. Y'all are leading in a lot of ways. Y'all are innovating. People are having to start following y'all's lead. That's crazy.
India's UPI, Unified Payments Interface, system now processes billions of transactions monthly, outpacing Visa and MasterCard in sheer volume.
Dang.
These are not just tech tools, they're expressions of digital sovereignty. Meanwhile, Indian engineers, programmers, and AI researchers are not just working for Silicon Valley, they're creating alternatives. From Zoho to Freshworks, from PhonePe to Razorpay, Indian tech is exporting excellence. And here's the kicker, Western firms can't compete on cost, scale, or language. India's English-speaking, digitally native youth is a 1 billion-strong competitive advantage. No wonder Silicon Valley is anxious. India's digital empire is not just rising, it's rewriting the rules. Diplomatic masterstroke, India's balancing act. In geopolitics, leverage is everything. And India is playing this game like a grandmaster.
Facts.
Where most countries pick sides,
Facts.
India crafts relationships. India buys cheap oil from Russia, joins the Quad alliance with the US, partners with Iran on strategic ports, supports Palestine publicly while deepening defense ties with Israel, and still maintains dialogue with China. This is not fence-sitting. This is
Not
strategic
thinking at
autonomy.
all.
When the Russia-Ukraine war broke out, India refused to blindly follow the West. It didn't condemn, nor did it endorse.
Mm-mm.
Instead, it negotiated, navigated, and ultimately benefited, securing oil discounts, food security, and diplomatic goodwill. The West was shocked. They expected India to fall in line. But India stood its ground, confident, composed, unbothered. Even at the United Nations, India's assertiveness has grown. It doesn't just vote. It vetoes.
Yeah, people are starting to really having to put more respect on India's name, and their soft power. Their influence is just continuously growing around the world as they're partnering with so many different countries in so many different ways. They're starting to become more self-sufficient in different areas, different categories. Their infrastructure is booming. Like India is someone to look at and respect the growth that they are going through. And yeah, but like I always say, with India's growth, they help bring other countries up with them. That's what I like about them.
Narratives. It shapes outcomes. It demands respect, not
Mm,
charity.
love that.
Western leaders privately admit India is now a swing state in global diplomacy.
Hmm.
One that can tilt the balance of power in Asia, the Middle East, and even Africa. But what truly unsettles the West is this: India can't be manipulated.
Facts.
It isn't dependent on IMF loans. It isn't swayed by NATO threats. And it won't compromise its sovereignty for trade deals.
Mm-mm.
The West fears this kind of independence. Because it means the dollar dilemma, India's currency power move. Global power isn't just about tanks and treaties. It's also about currency. The US dollar has long dominated world trade. But in 2025, that dominance is being quietly eroded, and India is playing a key role. Over the past 2 years, India has signed rupee-based trade agreements with more than 25 countries. These deals allow mutual trade in local currencies, bypassing the dollar entirely. This is huge. When countries don't need dollars to trade, they don't need to hold dollars in reserve.
Mm.
This weakens America's financial grip. Worse for the West, India has launched a digital rupee, a central bank-backed currency that's faster, more traceable, and easier to use than traditional systems like SWIFT.
Oh.
Imagine a world where BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, form a trading bloc that doesn't use the dollar. That world is already forming. India's push for a multi-currency world threatens the West's most powerful tool, financial control. Because when the dollar loses dominance, so does America's ability to sanction, influence, and punish. This is not just economic strategy. It's economic warfare.
Dang.
And India is winning quietly.
Yeah, that bricks that they set up, very, very smart move by them. I don't know what the situation is with bricks right now. I think the dollar right now, India was supporting the dollar and saying that for like the world currency, they weren't going away from it or anything. Um, but I mean, I just feel like in right now, India's on the rise in a big way, while the U.S. it feels like it's starting to decline. And I hate to say the U.S. declining. That's what it's feeling like.
Military modernization, the unexpected arsenal. India was once seen as a passive military player. But in 2025, that perception has been obliterated.
Definitely been a blip.
India now ranks among the top 4 global militaries, surpassing even some NATO countries in strength, strategy, and scale. Let's break it down. The Indian Navy is the dominant force in the Indian Ocean, with aircraft carriers, nuclear submarines, and strategic choke point control.
Jeez.
The Indian Air Force is transitioning to next-gen fighter jets, including indigenous stealth aircraft like the AMCA. Indian ground forces have modernized with advanced missile systems, battlefield drones, and AI-driven surveillance.
Dang.
But what truly alarms the West is India's indigenization. Under the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission, India is producing its own tanks, rifles, satellites, and missiles at a pace that few expected.
Really?
Indian companies are now exporting defense tech to Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America, cutting into Western arms markets.
Yeah, that's where the West gonna have a problem, because if I'm to assume anything from watching a lot of American and India videos, it's that India is gonna make a weapon of the same quality or better than what the U.S. is selling for a cheaper price, um, and they're gonna be able to sell it for a cheaper price, and that's gonna make America very angry.
India's anti-satellite weapon test in 2019 was a warning shot. Since then, it has launched advanced surveillance satellites, formed military space commands, and hinted at space-based missile defense. In short, India isn't just securing borders. It's preparing for multi-domain warfare: land, sea, air, cyber, and space.
Jeez.
And it's doing it without foreign dependence. That makes India not just a regional power, but a global one. One that the West can no longer ignore or outgun. Demographics, the youth that's changing the world. Power isn't just about weapons. It's about people. And here, India has an advantage no Western country can replicate: youth. As of 2025, over 65% of India's population is under 35. That's nearly 900 million young people, driven, educated, ambitious, and digitally fluent. This demographic dividend is India's true superpower. While the West faces shrinking workforces, aging populations, and immigration crises, India is unleashing a workforce that's hungry for innovation, hungry for progress, and hungry for leadership. And they're not just working for Western firms. They're building their own. Indian youth now lead unicorn startups. They dominate global coding competitions. They are entering politics, disrupting legacy systems, and rewriting social narratives. India produces more STEM graduates per year than the US, Europe, and Japan combined.
That's
Remote
crazy.
work.
More STEM graduates in the U.S., Europe, and Japan combined. Science, technology, engineering, math, 4 of the categories that are the most lucrative, that are very, very important when it comes to the world, and they're sending out the most graduates in those fields.
Hybrid education and global freelancing have removed the need to migrate. Indian brains are staying in India and building from within. This is what keeps Western think tanks awake at night.
I bet.
They can outsource jobs. They can buy tech. But they can't buy youth.
Yeah.
Culture as power, Bollywood, spirituality, and soft influence. For decades, the West exported its culture. Hollywood, fast food, blue jeans, and pop music shaped the global imagination.
Agreed.
But in 2025, India is flipping that narrative. Bollywood films now stream in 100+ countries. Indian songs are trending on TikTok in Latin America.
Oh,
Yoga is a $100 billion global industry.
factual.
Ayurveda is gaining recognition from global health bodies. From Diwali parades in London to Sanskrit tattoos in New York, Indian culture is going global. India's spiritual influence, through concepts like karma, dharma, nonviolence, and meditation is seeping into Western psychology, self-help, and wellness industries. Indian cuisine is now mainstream. Indian fashion is on global runways. Indian philosophy is being taught at Ivy League universities. Because cultural influence builds soft power, a form of persuasion more powerful than coercion. The West fears a world where India not only sets tech and trade standards, but also defines identity and aspiration. And that world, strategic geography, the gatekeeper of Asia. Location matters. And India's location is a geopolitical jackpot. Situated at the
I feel
crossroads.
like it's definitely located in a great position. I've seen other videos that kind of talked about India's geography and what they have access to and what they can close access to for their enemies. India definitely has a great position.
Of the Middle East, Central Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Indian Ocean, India controls some of the most important shipping lanes,
Yeah.
digital pipelines, and air corridors in the world. In 2025, India is using this geography to its advantage. It has built port partnerships in Iran, Sri Lanka, Mauritius, and Vietnam. It is leading the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, IMEC, to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative. It monitors major sea lanes like the Strait of Malacca, a lifeline for Chinese and Western trade. India is also investing in fiber-optic internet routes, drone surveillance zones, and high-speed rail linkages, all enhancing its ability to control flow of goods, data, and influence. And here's the bottom line: if you want access to Asia, you need India. If you want to counter China, stabilize Afghanistan, build in Africa, or trade with the Gulf, you need India.
Facts.
That leverage is terrifying for the West.
Yeah.
Because for the first time, India is no longer a bridge, it's becoming the gatekeeper.
Oh,
So, why is the West
like
secretly
that.
afraid of India in 2025? Because India is no longer waiting to be acknowledged, it's forcing recognition. It's building a tech empire that threatens Silicon Valley. It's leading a diplomatic model that defies polarization. It's dismantling dollar dependency.
Ooh,
It's fielding a military that's modern and self-sufficient.
agreed.
It's powered by a youth wave that can't be stopped.
Agreed.
It's exporting culture, philosophy, and identity across the globe. And above all, it is doing it without permission. India isn't the next China. It's something more unpredictable, more diverse, more democratic, and therefore, more dangerous to a system that thrives on control. The West isn't just afraid of India's power. It's afraid of what that power represents. A post-Western world order. A civilization returning to center stage. And a future that no longer needs Western approval to exist. India isn't rising. India has risen.
Oh,
And the world is finally beginning to know.
facts. Tell me what y'all think of the video. I absolutely agree. I think that India is in a position right now where they're starting to have that influence on the rest of the world, where you see the economy raising crazy, you see the infrastructure going on. There's more things just coming out of India. India is stamping its importance onto the world, and it's creating incredible partnerships all across the world with different countries. Y'all talk to me what y'all think and let me know what y'all think. If y'all enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, check out the next, and I'll see y'all next.